Following a resolution passed in December, Sigrid Kaag was appointed by the UN Secretary-General with a clear mandate to establish a UN mechanism for accelerating humanitarian aid to Gaza. Following a closed-door Security Council meeting on Tuesday, Kaag addressed reporters for the first time in her capacity as the UN Senior Humanitarian Coordinator for Gaza. She says she is working extremely hard to remove the obstacles in getting much-needed aid into the Palestinian enclave.
We're also obviously discussing on behalf of the humanitarian community what would be the basic humanitarian commodities and goods that ought to be allowed into Gaza, and then you have a wide category within. Equally so, as I said, commercial goods need to be allowed back in. There'll be no recovery, let alone reconstruction in future, without that broad bandwidth. But these are not necessarily discussions we can resolve from one day to the next.
Several nations have paused funding to the UN's Palestinian Relief Agency in response to allegations that 12 staff members participated in the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israel. Responding to the pauses to UNRWA funding, Kaag made it clear that there is no alternative source to carry out the humanitarian work done by the aid agency. She says she hopes that there's a resolution to the funding impasse, especially as UNRWA has reported its current funding might run out as early as February.
Donor countries, of course, have set their parameters and also have given clarity. It's an ongoing discussion. There's no substitution for the humanitarian role that is played in Gaza. We need to all ramp up, given the totality of needs and the scale and the complexity of the crisis, but there's no substitution.
But the US says its funding to UNRWA will remain paused until a comprehensive and independent assessment and review of UNRWA is done.
We need to see fundamental changes before we can resume providing funding directly to UNRWA. And as you know, we shouldn't let that cloud the great work that UNRWA does. UNRWA has provided essential humanitarian assistance to the Palestinian people, and UNRWA is the only organization on the ground that has the capacity to continue to provide that assistance.
The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres is holding talks with major donors to UNRWA on Tuesday, hoping to convince them to reconsider their decision to pause funding. A group of leading international aid agencies and NGOs have also called on those countries to reaffirm support for the vital work the UN agency does in Gaza and the region. Jody Jacobs, CGTN, New York.